Okay, excuse me, it is 4 o'clock. So we will go ahead and get started. Hi, Nancy. Kristen, are you with us? Yes, you are.
Yes.
I see your mouse moving.
I'm hiding.
You're hiding. That's okay. All right. So I think Nicole should be joining us soon, but for now, it is I. I'm Amanda Redepenning, the Director of Nursing at the Care Center and the Assisted Living Manager. So if Nicole jumps on, she can jump in as well. Just some reminders, we'll keep the call at 30 minutes today. Everybody's muted for right now. If you have any specific questions, please put them in the chat box, or we'll have plenty of time at the end for some questions also. Okay, now the fun part is seeing what the residents have been up to. So we have the most awesome activity staff around. I am 100% sure of that. They do so many fun, different things with the residents. You can see they had some painting, they were decorating cookies. We had quite a few nice days for them to be outside. Looks like, oh, looks like somebody was painting a horse. Yeah, and they got to go out on a bus ride. And today, actually, a bunch of them loaded the bus and went to the Fagan Museum, the World War II Museum in, oh, thank you, Kristen, in Granite Falls. So a bunch of the residents and some of our employees were going to go to that. Next week, they're going to Prairie's Edge Casino, and then in September, they're going to attend the Lacaparo County Fair in Madison. So we've got people just going all over the place, which is fun for them to be able to get out. Of course, if we should start to see a significant rise in COVID numbers, especially with the Delta variant that's coming through, it could be modified. You know, it might be that we can't have them go to Prairie's Edge because, my goodness, there's a lot of people saturated in the casino at once. But our goal is for them to get out to these outings. But as always, their health and safety is our number one concern. So we, at Johnson Memorial, we adopted the Eden Alternative philosophy back in, oh, it's been a while now, 2017, I believe it was. And I'm hoping most of you have heard of the Eden Alternative because we want families to be aware of it. And what it is it's a culture change for communities, and it looks to eliminate or minimize the 3 plagues of the elderly, which are loneliness, helplessness, and boredom. So the Eden Alternative has 9 different principles that we really strive to live by those principles. Each month, our department managers talk about a principle of the month to all of their employees at department meetings. And then we also have a thought for the month that goes into it. And we do what's called a learning circle. It kind of sounds cheesy and corny, but these learning circles are really a lot of fun. So we have a learning circle, and you can see for those of you who can see my screen, we have a thought for the month, the principle of the month, and then a learning circle question. And what we do with the learning circle question is one person will start the circle. And when they finish their answer, they look to the left or to the right, and then that's the way that the circle goes. And each person gets an opportunity to share their thoughts. And everybody else in the circle has to remain quiet. Whoops, sorry. I'm going to put that on silent. So everyone has to be quiet, and they're not supposed to like nod their head or give nonverbals, things like that. And it's a really difficult thing to do, to not nod your head and validate somebody. But with these learning circles, we've had the opportunity to get everyone's thoughts on things. And the rules are you cannot interrupt someone. So you really get some thoughtful responses from staff that maybe wouldn't speak up during a meeting if just asked, for anybody to speak up. So our August principle of the month is principle number 8, which is decision making must involve those most impacted by the decision. Empowerment activates choice, autonomy, and influence. So, what we do is we look at what decision are we trying to make and who is most affected by that decision. The example I gave to my staff in a meeting is if we decided that we're going to order all new bed linens, towels, things like that, who should be involved in making that decision? Should it be me? I get the prices, I see what the options are, and I just go ahead and make the decision. And of course, everybody said, no, it shouldn't be you. I should be involved in it, but I shouldn't be the one weighing in mostly. So the staff started responding and they said, well, definitely the residents, because they are the ones who have to sleep and use the sheets. Definitely the staff should be involved because they're making the beds, they're using the linens as well. And then laundry. I mean, they're the ones that are going to be washing this stuff and know how kind of the wear and tear of it will be. So it's a very simple decision, but it got the point across to people that we try to move the decision as close to the resident as possible. And I just challenged people to think about all of the decisions that we make in a day's time. And when you can get that decision, involve the CNAs, the residents, families, whoever it's going to mostly affect, we need to involve those people. So we can move on to the next. Here's an updated COVID cases by county. So Lac-qui-Parle, cumulatively, we are at 774. That's up from a month ago. Right now, we have 11 active cases in Lac-qui-Parle County, and that's up 10 from a month ago. So a month ago, we only had 1 active case. So we are definitely seeing a rise in COVID positivity. It is most likely we're seeing the Delta variant starting to infiltrate our community, which, yes, the vaccine can provide some defense against the Delta variant. However, you can still get COVID if you're immunized. So that's what we worry about most with our residents and our staff is we have a very high percentage of residents who are vaccinated. We're about 64% of care center staff that are vaccinated. So it's very possible that one of us who are not vaccinated could bring it in and spread it to the residents, and we don't want to see that happen. We have, let's see here. We've really been, I don't want to say pushing, but we have really worked hard on encouraging our staff who are not vaccinated to reconsider and consider getting the vaccine. We had employee forums, I think that was last week, and one of our doctors, Dr. Virgie, spoke to the employees about the vaccine, and he really talked about the medical science behind it. And so I really hope staff took that to heart. And we are a healthcare setting, And we base a lot of the decisions on medical science, proven medical science, evidence-based things that are going to say, you're going to have a positive outcome with this. Well, when we have the World Health Organization, the CDC, multiple professional entities like the National Council for Physicians, different things like that, that are saying the vaccine is safe. It is going to reduce your chance of getting COVID. It's going to help end this pandemic. Well, that's the message that we want to support to our employees, to our families, and to our residents. So we hope to see an increase in our immunizations. Okay. So our positivity rate today for the last 14 days is 1.9%. So we would be considered in the green. Some of our neighbors, Chippewa County is at 5.8 and they're in the yellow. So from 5 to 10%, you are in the yellow. If you get above 10%, you're in the red. And closest to us that's in the red would be Candy, Ojai County. Otherwise, Swift County is green. That's just to our north. Lyon County down by Marshall is yellow. Okay, I have a question here. Do you think any staff are declining the vaccination because it has not been FDA approved? Yep, I do think, well, I don't think, I know we have had some staff say, I don't want to get it until it's FDA approved. That is soon to be coming, for sure for the Pfizer vaccination. It sounds like within months, the FDA will give the official approval for that. We will do a great job of marketing that and letting our staff know, hey, it's available, it's FDA approved now. And hopefully we will see an increase. And for those staff that said they wanted to wait, well, it's FDA approved, here's your chance to get it now. So we definitely will hope to see that. All right, some information regarding COVID. So there have been a few little changes that actually just happened today. Residents and tenants will be will be surveillance tested only when we are in outbreak status. So outbreak status is if we have a care center employee or resident test positive for COVID. Same thing up at assisted living. If we have a tenant or an employee test positive, that puts you into outbreak status. Once we are in outbreak status, then we have to have 2 weeks of negative tests for residents and employees in order to get out of that outbreak status. Right now, 44 out of 45 care center residents are vaccinated. And we've just, actually, I think we're up to 47 residents as of today. And we still just have one resident who's not vaccinated. And 100% of our assisted living tenants are vaccinated. Our long-term care staff, and this also includes assisted living, we are going to, this just is going to start in place, I think next week or the week after. We will be doing weekly surveillance testing of unvaccinated staff. So the first day they work of each week, they'll have to go and get their COVID test done. And we'll do those right at the nurses' station. So right when they show up for their shift, they'll get swabbed and the test will be done before they're allowed to be on the floor. So that is just unvaccinated staff. 64% of our staff are vaccinated in the care center. Staff are still required to wear masks and eye protection. That has not changed at all. Next slide. So some updates on visits. And I failed to have Kristen update a part of this slide. So we are still open to visitors, and we're limiting it to 4 people at a time. And up until now, we were allowing really any age group. Because we're starting to see a rise in positives and right in our area, we are limiting the visitation age to ages 12 and above. And why did we choose age 12? 12-year-olds and up are able to receive the vaccine. So they're less likely to get COVID. The Delta variant, it's seeming that it's affecting a lot more younger people. And there are, I believe one of the providers had mentioned today that kids are just much more likely to spread it. They don't use good hand hygiene. They're not covering their cough. A lot of kids don't keep that mask on when they're supposed to. So we are going to be starting that immediately. So ages 12 and up are allowed to visit. And if they come out with the vaccine being approved for ages 6 and up or whatever age range, then we would probably consider dropping that visitation age down. Still really no limits on visitation as far as the length of time. Vaccinated residents can choose to have close contact with their visitor. We just ask that you use hand sanitizer before and after. And this is a change as of today too. Masks must be worn by the visitor and, oh, did they say resident? For sure by the visitor, regardless of vaccination status. Previous, it had been if you were vaccinated, you could take your mask off in the residence room. That has changed now, primarily because, yes, you can still get COVID even if you have been vaccinated. So that's the basis of that decision. So if you're coming to visit, please know that we will ask you to keep your mask on through the duration of your visit. The resident can have their mask off. The resident can have their mask off during the visit. Visitor has theirs on. You still don't have to schedule visits. Use the River Road and Prairie Lane entrances. That helps us out as far as being able to make sure we can answer the door right away. Okay. Assisted living, yeah, open for visitation. All visitors must wear masks, same thing as the care center. Both care center and assisted living residents, tenants can continue to go on outings. The providers and some of our clinical leads and administration met today about outings. And as of right now, we're saying, yep, that's still fine. But if we continue to see the numbers go up, it might be that we're pulling away from those, like going to the casino, places that are much more densely populated. But if a resident is just going to go out and maybe have Dairy Queen with their family, we're probably going to allow something like that. And we can always do the Zoom visits still. Just a reminder about how we communicate. The residents get updates weekly, bi-weekly. The monthly family newsletter gets mailed or emailed. If you have family members that are not on the email list that would like the newsletter, just let us know. We have the health line, which I believe just went out last week, maybe, or yesterday. And social media, Facebook, great place to look for the most recent updates. And then our monthly Zoom calls, which, if you remember last week, we said we kind of want to focus not only on COVID, but other things that are happening in the care center as well. It kind of feels like COVID's going to start coming back and we will be having these updates. I wouldn't doubt if we start doing these updates every other week in the near future, just because I have a feeling things are going to start changing quickly as far as recommendations for visitation and all of that. Last year we saw things change so quickly. Hopefully it won't be as drastic as last year, since we do have a large amount of people that are vaccinated, but change will happen. I can guarantee you that. Okay. Any questions? I know that was a lot of talking just from me. Any questions about visitation or testing?
Well, this is Nancy. I have one. I know various hospitals in the metro area are changing their policy requiring staff to get vaccinated. I'm sure you've had conversations there, any changes there, or anything from Department of Health saying we're going to require it?
As of right now, the Department of Health has not given the recommendation for healthcare facilities to mandate it. Our internal COVID response team, we've been discussing it for several weeks, and we're very close to finalizing our policy on it. But I can tell you it will not be a mandate. The wording that will most likely be used is strongly recommended. And then if a person makes a choice to not be vaccinated, there may be some additional things they might be subjected to, such as testing more often, possibly more PPE use. So there are going to be some things, and you guys have all heard it on the news about people feel very strongly about if they choose to not get the vaccine, they feel like they're being targeted or something. And I had that question brought up at a CNA meeting last week, and my response to that was, we're all entitled to make our own personal choice. And that's with anything in life. But we have to remember, whatever choice it is that we make, there may be positive or negative consequences with that. And I used the example, again, this is a simple example, but it can relate to it. If I get in my car and decide to drive the speed limit of 60 down the road, chances are pretty good that I'm not going to get in a car accident. I'm not going to get pulled over. If I get in my car and decide to drive 95 miles per hour, there's a good chance that I'm going to get pulled over, or I'm going to have an accident or cause somebody else to be in an accident. So it's choices. And I would have to live with the fact that I might get a speeding ticket, or I might get in an accident, but that's my choice. And I have to be willing to accept those consequences. So it's definitely not that we are trying to be punitive or single people out. Again, it's the fact that we base our decisions on evidence-based medical information that's coming from professional organizations. I'll get off my soapbox now. My friends are tired of talking to me. Whenever they randomly bring up vaccines, they're like, oh, Amanda, you get out of here, because we know what you're going to tell us.
I think too, something we should point out is that in the cities, when they mandate something like that, they have a much larger labor pool to pull from, which we just simply do not have access to.
Yep. And definitely the staffing, we took that into consideration, where if we mandated it and the consequence was you're no longer employed here, that would be devastating to us. I mean, we don't want to lose employees over vaccination status, but we also don't want to lose residents due to the potential of bringing COVID in either. So it's hard. It's a very sensitive and delicate topic that people have very strong feelings about. But there's also a lot of strong feelings that come back when we think about losing 10 residents in December and January. So any other questions?
And one other thing, I'm sure you're going to keep your eye on that third vaccine or that booster one, depending on what's what, because of your population. So I know you're watching that. I'm watching it too. So
Yes,
thank you.
I actually ran into your mom, Nancy, this morning, and she was asking me about that. And we are going to be getting a certain amount of the booster. And I would imagine they probably have some sort of phasing schedule as to who phase 1 will get the booster. You know, it's going to be those highly immunocompromised people, transplant recipients, things like that. And then it will gradually go down. And I am sure that residents in long-term care facilities will be close to the top of that as well.
I ran into your mother as well, Nancy, and she's very concerned because she has this birthday trip planned in September. So she wants to make sure she gets the booster for that.
Yeah, thank you very much for keeping an eye on her and everybody else that you do. I appreciate it.
It's crazy that another month has passed. Doesn't the time go by fast? Yes. Okay. Anybody else? Any questions? Okay. I would anticipate maybe an email going out within the next week or so, just kind of giving bullet points of what things have changed, kind of what's on the horizon. This was all kind of last minute, some of these things. We just had a meeting at 12:30 today. So some of it's new, so please bear with us if there's some confusion with staff, and we're trying to get that communication out now. All right. Well, thanks everybody. It's good to see you guys, and hopefully we can see you in person soon. All right, take care.